Super Mario Galaxy, the game where Mario collects Power Stars while going on one of his greatest adventures, all the way into space. This game was released on November 1st, 2007 for the Wii, and it was one of the first games for this incredible console. So it's widely known that it was revolutionary for creating motion controls for video games. I don't think I need to tell you how popular Wii Sports was, but something else that this console created, somehow, was really amazing music. Seriously, go back and look at some of the games here and you'll find some of the greatest gaming scores ever created, and Mario Galaxy is no exception. The main composer for this game was wait, hold on. Just don't want to mess this up.
Mahito Yokota.
Along with, of course, Koji Kondo, who did a few pieces himself. He said the development of the music in this game was a little bit different than what they had done in the past. This was the first Mario game to feature orchestral music. Initially, they were a bit concerned that playing the music like this wouldn't make it fit that Mario vibe, but they tried it out because it would make the game seem a little bit more epic. And yeah, that's exactly what it did, and it makes perfect sense. Being that this was supposed to be Mario's biggest and most epic adventure yet, that was the mindset during brainstorming. The actual game environments were focused on so much more, and a ton of emotion was brought into each piece. But what exactly do these sound like? Well, let's go through the game and take a look at what I believe to be the best songs it has to offer. That's gonna be tough to pick, but I'll do my best. So to start out the game, Mario is invited to Peach's castle on the night of the Star Festival. So he trots on over like the happy guy he is. Oh, but wouldn't you guess it, Bowser. He's here to kidnap the princess once again, but he does so in honestly one of the most interesting ways. Instead of just taking her away like in other games, he uses the airships to pull the entire castle out of the ground and flies it all the way into space. Then Mario is knocked away back down to Earth, never to be seen again. Well, that was the plan, but he's actually saved by this planet somehow, and the adventure begins. You know, I gotta say, the music through this whole opening segment is pretty chill. I mean, I'm using that word a little loosely because of course Bowser's theme isn't exactly the most calming, but it's not one of those epic pieces we were talking about earlier. That does make sense though. They're just going through the backstory and easing you in, but this is where things are about to change. Once on the aforementioned planet that saved Mario's life, we do some stuff that I think we can just fast forward right through. Yeah, alright, then we go to meet Rosalina, who will help us on our adventure. She says some things that I'm sure you don't care about, but the important part is that we are gifted a new power from Luma, the spin. And the most important thing this lets us do is use launch stars and fly between planets. Now I promise this is going somewhere. I need to set up your emotions properly for what's coming next, because the story and tutorial is finally over. So we take the first launch star and fly over to the action, and this is the music that greets us. Very fittingly, this is called Into the Galaxy, and that's exactly what it implies. It's time to dodge falling rocks, take down enemies, grab the first Grand Star, and power up the Comet Observatory with the first of many missions complete. This does fit a little bit into a theme that we might hear when listening to some of the other epic pieces in this game. That being songs that are very fast-paced and have a lot of long major keys in them. Speaking of which, now that we truly do have the tutorial finished, let's head to the first main galaxy and listen to this song. Here is Good Egg Galaxy. This is probably what most people think about when remembering the Galaxy music. The first main score always has to be really good to get people hooked on the game, and this one certainly does that. It just sounds very positive. Like, this place has a great atmosphere. Also, one thing I never really thought about is how each level starts in this game. Previously, Mario is just dropped into the level. You gain control immediately, and the music starts up. But here, it's a little different. Mario actually flies to the first planet before you get control, and in in those few seconds, the intro to the song has time to play, so you can really take in the environment during that moment, then start moving once the main repeating part of the song is playing. That's a super small detail, but I think it really does make for a different experience listening to the music while actually playing the game instead of on a video, like this one. You know? Alright, now that we got some epic pieces out of the way, we have to look at some that are a bit different. Usually when you think of great music in this game, you think of loud and fast pieces like the ones I already played, but there is one theme that is a fan favorite for much different reasons. Let's have a listen to Space Junk Galaxy. There's just something about this that makes it so great to listen to. This stage, specifically with this Pulsar gimmick, is something that is really cool, but definitely a lot slower than the other flying through space mechanics. But I think the reason why this is talked about so much is because this is the song that fits the space vibe the best. Don't get me wrong, I love the epicness. The epicness needs to be there, but that's not the music you think of when you picture floating out in the vastness of empty space. This is what you would think of. A very relaxing type of song. There's a couple more like this in the game that each have their own feel to it because there are so many different types of environments. Some galaxies are meant to feel happy and carefree, while others are meant to have a more creepy vibe to them. This is especially the case for galaxies like this that have a literal black hole staring you in the face the whole time. Little bit of a side note, but did this give anyone else nightmares as a kid? Because this has got to be one of the most gruesome Mario deaths ever. Actually, this whole game has some of the most horrifying deaths. Drowning, where there's a very unsettling animation, Quicksand, where he sticks his hand out, and these guys that suck your brains out. I know talking about space really freaks people out sometimes, and this definitely is not going to help with that. Anyway, I just needed to mention that, but let's get back to it. So something that a lot of game developers will tell you is super important would be variety. If every galaxy was just super fast-paced with a loud and powerful soundtrack, it probably would feel more stale. So even though some of these songs will not be loved by a lot of people, they are still a necessity. Let me show you what I mean with this Freeze Flame Galaxy theme. Just to be clear, I'm not saying this song is bad, but I don't think this is the kind of song you're gonna hear at like a party or something to get you hyped. But it doesn't need to be, because you need a change of pace and a calming environment since this comes right after this galaxy. Oh, were you expecting me to play it? Sorry, we're not there yet. Don't worry, we'll listen to it in a minute. The point of all this is that there's a balancing act, and this game performs that balancing really well by mixing in slower songs with all the epicness. But I know the reason you're here is for the epicness. I'm going to play 5 songs here that were clearly worked on a lot by the developers and are some of my favorites in the entire series. These are what the game is all about and what everyone remembers. First up, after beating the game, you unlock purple coin missions, where you have to get, of course, 100 purple coins for a star. This theme plays for all of them. Then, for the actual galaxies with the best themes, there's Battle Rock Galaxy, one that I'm sure most are familiar with, Gusty Garden Galaxy, One that, surprisingly, doesn't get a whole lot of recognition, Melty Molten Galaxy. And the song that I think defines this series, Buoy Base Galaxy. Truly is a masterpiece. These are all those epic pieces that make you feel like you're not just playing a video game, but having an experience. This is exactly what the team said in development. Koji Kondo said, if somewhere in your mind you have an image that Mario is cute, please get rid of it. That mindset was obviously brought to the final version of the game. Sure, it's technically just a kid's game, but it's also so much more. Something that people can have a lot of fun with and look back on many years later. There's so much of the game that accomplishes this, but the music is definitely a big part of it. Even if you've never seen or played this game before, there's still a good chance you've heard some of these pieces, and that's saying something. It was brought up to a level this series of games had never seen before. It made this game one of the most popular of all time, and the soundtracks after this would only continue to be just as great. But that's a story for another day. For now, that is all I got. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.